Two reasons to get excited today. Of course, it's the latest episode of the Patients Podcast, but it's also, more importantly, International Nurses Day. And in this episode, I'm joined by three research nurses from Nottingham. Let's find out what their colleagues really think they do. All of your clinical trials questions will be answered, and we also explore the significance of the data that they gather. Coming up in just a moment. Welcome everybody to the latest episode of Let's Talk Blood Cancer, the Patients Podcast, hosted by me, Adam Joyce, Q leukemia patron and former blood cancer patient myself. And on today, which is International Nurses Day, I am joined by three marvellous ladies on the sofa, looking very colourful, I must say. A big welcome to Jesusa Sulit, Sian Fowdur and Abi Sutcliffe. Welcome to the sofa.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Jess. Introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about what you do.
Thank you for having us here. My name is Jesusa Sulit, but people can call me Jess for short. I am a clinical research nurse working in haematology at the Nottingham University Hospital, and I have been doing this job for about 14 years. It's quite a while.
Thank you, Jess. Sian?
Yeah, I work alongside Jess and Abi. We're in sort of a big team of research nurses. I've been doing this for about 15 years now. Before that, I'd worked on the haematology ward, so haematology's always been my thing.
And yeah, Abi, you're being looked at next.
Yeah. So I joined the research team in 2019, and I also worked on one of the haematology wards. I heard there was a job going in research, and I hesitated before applying because I really didn't want to wear red. But fortunately I did.
So the red uniform was what was putting you off. So red is for research, is that right?
It is, yes.
So the uniform was putting you off?
It's not a colour I prefer.
But I think you look great in red.
Thank you. But besides that, I really didn't understand research, and I thought, I'm not interested in experimenting on people, genuinely. But as part of the application, part of the interview, I had to prepare a presentation about the benefits of research for haematology patients, and that's when it clicked for me how it's so important what we do and what a difference it makes for people.
You see, I can imagine people watching already. They've just heard you say, I wasn't keen on experimenting on people, and I'm going to pick up on that in a little while. Sian, what drew you into this role?
So I'd worked, like I said, on the haematology wards for about 5 years, and you'd see these mysterious figures waft in and waft out, research nurses. And I kind of thought, who are they? What do they do? I'm quite an organised, methodical person. Mm-hmm. I thought, research sounds like it could be for me. Opportunities came up, looked into it and thought, this feels like a really good fit. It's kind of taking the skills from the ward into research. You're getting that really sort of privileged role of working much more closely one-on-one with patients, offering new treatments. It's kind of a really meaningful, really rewarding career. And I thought, yeah, this sounds like a bit of me, and that was it.
Sian, you seem so enthused by your role. Is this your general persona? I mean, the purple hair you mentioned just before we went live.
I mean, I'm one of the more introverted members of the team, and this is not sort of typically, I think people wouldn't have expected me to go purple. But we work with people going through a lot of stuff. It reminds you that life is short, and actually dye the hair.
Yeah.
Wear the nice clothes, burn the expensive candles. Don't wait for tomorrow to do the spontaneous, interesting, nice things.
Oh, I like this. This is great. Jess, what drew you into this role?
As a child, I always wanted to become a doctor. But as we all know, medicine course is expensive. Mm-hmm. And it felt at that time nursing was close to my dream. So I ended up nursing, have worked for many years on the ward, various settings. And then finally in 2012, I got curious with research, and I thought, I might just try this role, this path. So since 2012, I've been doing clinical research nursing, and I'm really enjoying it.
And can you tell us a bit about what that looks like on a day-to-day, Jess? What is the role of a research nurse?
Really, our main role as a clinical research nurse, we coordinate and manage a study that is assigned to us. And our main job is to ensure that we adhere to that protocol and that all the aspects of clinical trials are basically delivered to the patient safely in accordance to GCB GCP guidelines, good clinical practice.
Okay. And you said that sometimes you think even the ward nurses don't understand what you do. What are the key differences then between you as a research nurse and as a ward nurse?
I think because I am speaking based from my experience because I have worked on the ward as well, so I knew what it's like. Working on the ward, I think it's more physical. You're more physically, this is just my take, I don't know about you guys, physically draining at the end of the day, whereas being a research nurse is more mentally draining. I said that because when you go to the ward, start in the first thing in the morning, you'd be on your feet all day, and you'd go home really looking and feeling tired at the end of a long hour shift. But then you could end a period to it, there is a stop. That is the big difference. You come back the next day, maybe looking at different patients, different scenarios, different setting, completely different. Mm-hmm. Whereas for us clinical research nurses, it's not like that. It's a long-term commitment. Mm-hmm. It's we look after the patient from the moment they sign the consent form throughout their journey, basically. And we could be talking 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years. Wow. So that big commitment, it's on our shoulder, really. It's on our responsibility.
So if I were a patient having a clinical trial, I would be assigned a specific nurse. Is that right? So you must become friends.
Yeah, that's right. So really, you could say that once the patient is on board to the trial, we then become like, you could almost say we're their navigator through their cancer journey, through the clinical trials. Because, like I said, from the moment they sign the consent form, we follow them through.
Yeah. And what does a typical day or a week look like for you, Jess?
A typical day look like for me, it varies really. Sometimes we would be really busy patient-facing, and that could either be seeing patients in the outpatient setting or actively treating patients, giving treatment. Okay. Or there are also days wherein there will be loads of admin jobs. Yeah. But the perks of it is we get loads of coffees and teas in between.
Oh, nice. Is it a sort of 50% split between your time spent with patients and your time behind the scenes, if I can call it that?
I think I would say so. What do you think?
I think it's very variable.
Yeah.
It's sort of where we're at in stages of trials. We all sort of have ebbs and flows with sort of trials. Yeah. And if we have a new trial that's kind of quite a complex, heavily recruiting trial, we're going to be spending a lot of time face-to-face administering treatments, coordinating care. And then you might have another phase where your trials are kind of past the heavy recruitment and you're into heavy data collection. Mm. So I think it is a lot more office-based than people would think, the role of a research nurse. And I think that plays somewhat into the perception from the ward that kind of research nurses drift off to the office and kind of got a bit of a cushy number.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes. We've got this huge commitment to the trials to provide really good quality, robust data, because we can't go on to deliver sort of new standard of care treatments unless you've really built quality data to prove or disprove the quality of treatments, the toxicities. So from that point of view, we are quite desk-bound quite a lot of the time, but we have that privilege of having those really close relationships with patients. A lot of the time when we're at our desks, we're on the phone. Yeah. We're coordinating appointments, ordering scans, answering phone calls about prescriptions. Yeah. And I think when you've got a patient going through a cancer journey, sort of one of the nice things about having a research nurse is they can be that single point where you call and those administrative things like getting a prescription for this, when's my scan, it all hands over to the research nurse. They coordinate everything and try to make that journey as smooth as it can be.
This is what I wanted to explore. So this is your chance to promote yourself, really, because my question is, why are research nurses so important? You've already touched on that being that single point of contact for a patient, which I know I didn't have. That would have been incredible when I went through my journey. So why are you and your colleagues so important?
I mean, we work within an amazing multidisciplinary team, we have to say that. We have amazing sets of specialist nurses, but they have huge cohorts of patients. And we're in the privileged position that actually our cohort of patients is smaller, and we can kind of take those from the specialist nurses, concentrate on them. by sort of recruiting patients to clinical trials, working really closely with the patients, listening to sort of concerns that come up along the way, we enable them to stay on treatments as long as possible because we're guiding them through, we're troubleshooting, and by patients staying on treatments as long as they're getting benefit from treatments, they're getting good treatment, we're getting good data, we're feeding that back to the people who are making the drugs, we're providing evidence for why these drugs work, if these drugs work, in what combinations they work, and then you're in the situation, which we've seen over sort of our time, sort of 14, 15 years that we've been doing it, the trials we were delivering 15 years ago are today's standard of care.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's kind of what drives us. It's kind of, we have sort of a tagline in the sense that today's research is tomorrow's standard of care. And we've seen that play out.
You're proud of that, aren't you?
Really
We are,
proud,
yeah,
really
we are.
proud, because patients that we would have been treating 10, 15 years ago didn't have the opportunities of treatments. The scientific knowledge is phenomenal. You know, we're in awe of the brains, the researchers that are generating these treatments. And, you know, we're in an amazing position that we can get these treatments to the people that really need them. A lot of the treatments that we're able to offer now are targeted therapies. They have lower side effect profiles. The routes of administration are they're not all long inpatient stays for IV administration.
It has changed a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of therapies that we give for haematological malignancies now are tablet-based or subcut injections, which much quicker can be administered at home. People can now have a life, and treatment fits into life rather than life fitting into treatment. And that's because we've been able to work with amazing researchers, drug companies, academics, medical team, to get these through the process of clinical trials and out to the patients that need them.
You see, I'm sat here smiling because I can only imagine what this sounds like to a patient when they first get assigned a research nurse. Is it often a surprise to a patient that they are going to have a dedicated member of staff for them to call on, well, I won't say at any time of the day or night, or is it like that?
We whenever we're not at work, we leave them with a safety net of who they go to.
Do you?
So I think that's kind of different, sort of what Jess was touching on in the difference between ward work, where you go home, your shift's done, you move on. There are caseloads of patients. We care deeply about them, what happens to them, and we'll always have a plan in place for when we're not there. We're lucky we work with an amazing team of people. So if I'm not there, my colleagues have got they've got it covered. And
if we go for a holiday, actually, if you're away for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you've got to plan ahead and sort out your plans for your patient. That's how dedicated we are.
But you know they'll be in safe hands.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I work on the ward, there is a certain way you do every task, every time. But for us, every trial has its own protocol, and there will be subtle or big differences between each protocol. So we need to be the experts on making sure the protocol is followed. So if someone has a side effect to a drug, we'll have to look in the protocol and see what the rules are about dose adjustments or about specific reporting, so that the drug company or the university sponsor, however, they've got to make sure they're sending all their safety data. So we have to be the expert on that thing. So the study that I case hold, I'm the expert. So if I go on holiday, like Jess said, I've got to leave a handover saying, this is the trial, this is where you find the information, these are the patients, this is when they're coming in, this is when their scans due.
I understand.
This is how you process the blood samples. So it's all very specific for each trial
So
protocol.
you're almost specialising in your own trial
That's
and
right,
your own patients.
Yeah.
So you've then got to master all the others as well?
You
to
can't
cover the
master it.
holidays and the
You need to
leave?
know where to find the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abi, acute leukemia, we fund research nurses directly. How does that funding change the outcome for patients?
Well, the more research nurses you have, the more trials you can run. Because I'm sure you can imagine with the detail I've just been describing, everyone has a limited capacity. So we've got a few trials in setup at the moment that I'm thinking, who can I ask to case hold this study? Because they've already got their hands full. So we have to make those kind of decisions, and sometimes we have to say no to doing a trial that looks like it could be really beneficial for patients because we simply don't have enough nurses to run it.
Well, I didn't want to ask a leading question, but it clearly is. So are you understaffed?
Well, we could always do with more staff,
Yeah.
couldn't we? I think that we're managing well with what we
Yeah.
have. We have a really good decision making process into which things we prioritise. But I would always be happy to have another research nurse, or I would say another data clerk, because that data that we have to enter, for some of the, especially big commercial studies, they have very high requirements about data. So we have to write down every time someone has a headache, and what day it started, and what day it stopped, and how severe it was, and whether or not it was related to the study drug, and the doctors have to assess that, because you have to be medically qualified for that. So that's the kind of data that we have to submit, and what time we gave the drug, and what time it finished, and all those kind of
and
things.
using the analogy that you've just said, if somebody has a headache, so what you're trying to prove or disprove is whether that's a side effect of the drug.
Of the drug, yeah.
And you've just used a headache. I don't want to say does it get any more minor than that, but how close are you watching these patients?
Very close. We really monitor our patients. Our top priority is their safety when it comes to research. So every time they come in and have their visits, we would ask how you've been in the last, or since the last time we saw you, any changes, any problems, and we do write them, record them accurately, because that's where the integrity of...
But Jess, I was terrible because I used to say, I'm fine.
We all do.
So what happens then?
Well,
We probe. We
have to dig a little.
We have to be professionally curious.
Yeah.
So we delve.
Yeah.
And I think one of the benefits of having a research nurse that's following you from point A all the way through is we might notice what you don't tell us.
Yeah.
So I might say, your nails are looking a little brittle.
Yeah.
Is that something you've noticed? And they'll be like, actually, yes, it is. And then suddenly you notice that actually every patient on trial has brittle nails. It's not something that I might think is reportable, but this is why an individual input, then you collect the data across a whole survey of people, and then you find common threads. So every person that enters into a trial is giving that valuable data, and it's when you combine it all, you see the trends, you see the causality patterns, and then assessments are made. Is this toxicity worth the benefit?
So your role sounds so varied because you've got this amazing, well, I mean, everything you do is amazing, but you've got this really wholesome patient contact. And then it sounds like you've got hours and hours of data input.
Yeah.
Surely you don't enjoy both parts of the role or all aspects of the role. So I guess let me start with you, Jess. Is there any particular part of your role that you, let's say, you to tell me what you absolutely love, and then maybe Sian, you can tell me the bit that perhaps you don't enjoy as much?
I love the interaction with the patients. I love it when I'm actually treating my patients. I think that's the most part that I really love.
And Sian, the bit that you could easily do away with?
I mean, the administrative side of things, the data collection is so important because without collecting the data, submitting the data, getting that evaluated and pushing that through, it's pointless.
Yeah.
But it's the dry part of the job. And I think it's not just the data submission, it's the amendment processes. There's a lot of administration, and I think from a data side of things, as nurses, we'd love to do less of the data and more of the patient contact. We recognise both as really important, and we enjoy both, but we came into nursing because we want to help people. And we enjoy being with people. It just turns out that in our job, helping people also requires us to put really high quality data. But it's really important, and I think one of the misconceptions that you can have with trials is that you sign up to a trial, you're signing your life away, and they're going to do whatever they want and collect that data. Like, as one of our really important sort of parts of our role is advocating for a patient. We will never keep a patient on a trial for the benefit of collecting data. We will never keep a patient on trial if they're not sort of getting benefit from it anymore, if we assess that the toxicities they're getting are unreasonable, and if the patient decides they want to stop at any time, they're never going to feel bad for that decision, because people make their own decisions for multiple things. So data's important into the development of new drugs, but for us, the patients will always be the core of what we do, and they will always be the priority. So I think for any patient considering a clinical trial, it's important to sort of have that knowledge that
It's not about the greater good.
It's not about the greater
Yeah.
good. That's a brilliant endpoint. But in that moment, us with you, you're what's important.
Safe.
Do patients ask you that at the start of their journey? Do they say or ask you questions like, "Am I going to be a guinea pig? Am I here for the greater good?" I mean, give me an example, if you can, of some of the really common questions that somebody who is starting on a clinical trial tends to ask, Abi.
Well, I've never had anybody ask me exactly that, but quite often they'll say, "Oh yes, I'm ready to sign my life away." Yeah. And then that's when I say, "You're really not. You have always got a choice. Consent is an ongoing process, and we want to make sure that you always feel happy about taking part in this trial." And we have some people who will go from one trial to the next because the next trial is their next treatment option. People like that, they get used to being part of it, and they've obviously had a good enough experience to come back. Do you
find that patients really embrace the concept of a trial, or do you find some patients are really set against it?
It's a mix, isn't it? I think
it's really varied.
Yeah.
Some patients want to know everything. Some patients want to know nothing, and it's part of our job to gauge that.
Yeah.
Some people are still kind of cognizant of the history of research. You know, it's got a difficult sort of history research. It wasn't sort of ethically done, and I think in the past there weren't the safeguards in place. And I think sort of one of our jobs is to make sure patients and their families understand sort of the high protections safety-wise that are built into trials. Everything has to go through ethics. There's a whole lot of sort of processes to make sure that trials are suitable and that the patient is at the forefront.
And what would these trials look like, if you can even imagine a world like this? But what would these trials look like without research nurses? And I fully understand that I'm asking, my questioning means that you need to sell yourself. I get that, and that might be awkward for you. But tell us about what a trial would look like, Abi, without research nurses.
Well, the kind of drug trials that go on at Nottingham, I don't think they could be run without a research nurse, because I love being part of the NHS. I think it's amazing. But doing research in the NHS means that our doctors have their non-research focus as well. So they have to balance the two. And although they're very knowledgeable about the protocols, they do rely on us to go and double check that bit of information, make sure that we're on the right track, all of the data side of things. I don't think you could do it without a research
Who's in charge, the research nurses or the doctors?
Well,
we have a really good
very
working relationship.
Yes, we do.
We rely on each other.
Yeah, we do.
I think it's really important that's how things work.
Yeah.
We're very lucky that we've got really good relationships with our teams of consultants. They're very proactive in terms of research, considering patients for research. They respect what we do, we respect what they do, and we've got good working relationships.
We have a very excellent doctors in Nottingham that actually really respects us and listen to what we say and our opinion. Really great to have that kind of doctors.
And I have a question about discipline. And what I'd like to explore is your own personal discipline. How do you not... I don't know what too involved might look like, but how do you turn your phone off as you leave the building, for example? Or how do you not answer a call on a weekend? Or is it just about managing the expectations of the patients? How do you not become completely emotionally drawn in?
Oh, I see. That has always been my rule, because I think I have been working I have been working as staff nurse as a nurse for so many years now, and I think over the years I have managed to kind of train myself and the separate work from home and vice versa, because I know it's not going to help at all. And I've just got to learn that
Like the boundaries, isn't it?
Learn the boundaries.
I think we all have a level of self-preservation
limitations,
in terms of how involved we are.
Yeah.
We don't have phones that go home with us in terms of the patients can't contact us at home.
Okay.
And we always leave them with a safety net.
Yeah.
So this is the number that you would call when I'm not here. So you've always got that reassurance. They've got somebody they can call. It's not you, but they'll be okay, and they've got contact. You can't take everything home with you. it's too much. But doesn't mean we don't think about them
Yeah.
and wonder what's going on.
Is it an emotionally challenging role?
It can be.
Yeah, it can be. I think
Especially when your patients in the trial have received a bad news, that affects us.
yeah.
Are you usually included in those conversations?
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
So when you receive that information that your patient is not doing very well to the trials, you also get emotionally affected. We're all just human, it's natural. We feel their pain.
Yeah. But then tell me what it's like when they get great news.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Shared elation.
Very
isn't it?
exciting.
Yeah.
They probably don't see us, but in the office we're rejoicing.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We see
That's
that
true.
radiology report and it says,
Yeah.
no sign of disease. And then the doctor has a look at it and says, yep, that's a complete remission. And it just feels amazing.
Yeah.
So to almost place myself in that situation, so you're seeing those reports with the doctors before the patients have got any idea.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to walk out knowing that you're delivering good news.
Yeah. Well, we try to reserve it for the doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't usually
don't,
give that news. That's a doctor job.
And on those tough days that you spoke about, what are your real motivators? And I appreciate they will probably be very individual to you. Abby, tell me first, what really keeps you going on a tough day?
Well, I love people and I love nursing. Some people find it a bit strange, but I actually really like hospitals. I enjoy that environment.
Yeah,
and
I don't share that one with you.
No, but I've not had the experience you've had, so I might feel differently if I'd walked in your shoes. But so I feel that my job really makes a difference. It's exciting when we see, like you said, drugs that were in a trial before become standard of care. I had that experience recently, a trial that I was working on for several years. It was approved by NICE, the new drug. So that's really exciting.
That's exciting.
Is that like a massive victory?
To me, it feels like it.
I mean, yeah, and so it should be. But for me, who doesn't understand the full intricacies of what you do, is that like the finish line? I don't mean that you can stop work, but of that particular trial, is that the end of that trial then? And once it's approved, it's out there and it becomes standard care?
So that's the end of that trial.
Yeah.
So now we know that particular drug works better than that one, but that doesn't stop us trying to find out what's going to work better than
the one that's just been approved?
Yes.
Wow. So it just really is ongoing, isn't it? Are there any memories that any of you have that are real memorable days at work? Anything that you think, that particular, I think, Abby, as you've just said, when your trial ended and became approved. Sian, anything that sticks in your mind? Any significant events throughout your
I mean, we've
career?
had some amazing results that have kind of surprised us. So where we have a new drug, and the anticipation is that it's going to provide patient benefit, but when it does it really quickly, and you see sort of figures drop, sort of really quick, positive, and then patients are reporting, I feel well.
Yeah.
And then patients are saying, I'm going to this wedding that I couldn't have gone to.
Yeah.
I'm going on this holiday with the grandchildren.
Yeah.
I'm planning life. That's why we do it,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's amazing. We can't always buy forever, but we can buy amazing family milestones, moments.
You see, that's really poignant, what you've just said there. And Jess, when you're first having conversations with patients who are starting on clinical trials, what are those conversations like? How do you manage them?
Not sure about the others, but I'm speaking for myself. I find the first conversation and first meetup always the hardest. It can be challenging. Sometimes it can feel a bit awkward, actually, bearing in mind these patients are already burdened with anxieties and they've got too many questions in their head, especially those people who are newly diagnosed patients who have probably met loads of people and received so many informations. You just want to be careful, to be very careful handling these people. So
You have a very calming manner.
It can be a little bit awkward, to be honest.
Yeah. Have patients' reactions to trials or their attitudes to trials, have they changed over the years?
I think they have. They're more open, and they're more open to, accepting ideas about the trials. I think it has changed a lot recently over the years, actually. Yeah. We have quite a lot of people who would travel to Nottingham from afar, from 2 hours, 3 hours journey, just to take part in the trial. And that's really amazing. Those people who are looking for answers, looking to cure for their disease. But again, that is kind of a delicate situation, isn't it?
You're so excellent at selling Nottingham. I must say, the three of you, I think Nottingham are going to be very proud of you. Shauna, have you experienced similar things with patients' attitudes to trials?
Yeah, I think we have shifted largely from this sort of guinea pig mentality of kind of, I'm going to be a test subject. I think the way globally that we access information has changed so dramatically in terms of internet, social media, that we're now in the amazing situation that we've got expert patients that know their disease, their treatment options better than anybody else. They can actively come looking for the treatments. I think with support groups sort of amongst patients online, in person, they tell each other about the sort of shared experiences. And I think there has been a shift that actually a trial might actually be new hope, new opportunity, an innovation that gives me sort of a different quality of life than I'm currently able to have. So overall, I think there's a favourable perception with an undercurrent of caution still, because, you know, the stakes are high and people want to make the right choices. So we always suggest go discuss it with your families, read the information, ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You can ask as many questions as you want. But obviously, we suggest trials because we think they've got potential benefit. We're never choosing patients to fill slots.
No, of course.
And I think one of the things of being a research nurse, we build these relationships with patients and we're almost looking ahead. So we're kind of like, right, in the situation, we're going to need more treatment for this patient in the future. What have we got lined up for them? We're trying to lay the stepping stones so that we can keep offering treatments for as long as possible.
So since I've been hosting this podcast, one of the misconceptions that I've talked about with previous guests is that clinical trials are generally only offered to people when conventional treatment, and forgive me if my terminology is not totally accurate, when conventional treatment has failed, almost like, well, this is all we've got now is a trial, and that's wrong, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one landscape in which trials are offered, where we try and access treatments because other treatments have been exhausted, but absolutely not the only landscape, is it? It's
more of improving the outcomes of.
It might be that it's first line treatment for patients. We're never going to undertreat a blood cancer, so treatments may be randomised trials, and what that would look like is the current gold standard plus either the current gold standard with or without something extra. We're never going to undertreat. So as a patient coming on, you're never going to get something that we don't know if it works. We're always going to give you something that we know is going to do the job with something that might enhance or might not. That's what we're testing. So I think that's really important, isn't it? That we're never going to offer patients something that knowingly is going to sort of give them less than what they could currently get.
Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I've got a particular example of that. So I was working on a trial where they had the standard of care, but then they also had additional IV infusions and tablets, which were placebo-controlled. So these patients came in. So the standard treatment is 3 weekly, but they actually came in every single week for these infusions, which might have been salt water for all we know. And I think that kind of, they knew that they might not actually be getting additional drug, that they were coming in, being cannulated every week,
and potentially having nothing.
Having nothing extra. That kind of commitment to research that was going beyond themselves. So knowing that will benefit people further down the line, even if all I'm having is salt water right now.
So people need to be really invested in the cause, don't they, these patients? I mean, you clearly are as nurses, but patients need to be really invested. Jess, how have you seen clinical trials change during your time as a research nurse?
I would say it has changed dramatically over the years. Science continuously evolving, and so as the clinical trials are increasing. We are opening trials every year. More trials every year, and the demands of clinical research role are also increasing. So you could tell that it's, research is really evolving at the moment.
And there's more complexity to the trials.
More complex trials are coming, more treatments, more available treatments. Back in the day, sound like I'm an old person now. We only know treatment as chemotherapy, but now these days there are loads of treatments aside from chemotherapy. There are like antibodies and immunotherapies, inhibitors, which we think are less. The side effects are lesser than the actual conventional chemotherapy.
And again, I have to ask you to forgive me because I'm not clinical, so I hope my questions don't sound like I really don't know what I'm talking about. But clinical trials are not just about curing people, are they? Because I look back at my blood cancer journey and the chemotherapy was just awful. That was the worst thing for me, was the treatment. So again, am I right to think that we're trying to improve the journey as well as the outcome?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's not just about replacing the treatment. It's just finding the treatment that will give the patients less toxicities, I think.
I think treatments are getting cleverer. Targeted treatments means that we're not destroying as many sort of the healthy cells, which is sort of by destroying those, that's what generates side effects. So by targeting sort of the bad cells, we sort of get effective treatment response without the sort of cacophony of horrible side effects.
Yeah.
So the hope is that as it goes on, we'll get better and better at targeting treatments, lower side effect profiles, more tolerable. Patients have a better quality of life in between.
Sian, do you think patients have more hope today than they did 10 years ago?
Absolutely. I mean, I think just from what we've seen in our roles, we work with amazing minds that are producing amazing treatment combinations. I think available treatments are amazing compared to what they used to be. We're lucky to have an NHS where these treatments, whether they be through a clinical trial or through standard of care, free at the point of access. I think, we're not in a situation where if you want to come on a clinical trial, it's about whether you can afford to come on a clinical trial. It's whether you're eligible based on different criteria, your sort of health status and different things. And I think patients have got a lot of hope because we're always trying to be one step ahead, like I mentioned. Like your drug has been approved. That's not the end game. No. What's next? What else have we got? And that's what motivates.
You've got to have that tenacity, haven't you, to keep going. And Abi, for any nurses that are watching this podcast and thinking, do you know what, I've come here today to find out exactly what a research nurse does. Sell your role. How would you encourage anybody to get into research nursing? What would you say to them?
I would say start by getting a good foundation of being a nurse in whatever area you're particularly interested in, because the research role is something on top of that. So you need a good foundation. The way that we started working on haematology wards and then we're able to move into haematology research. We already had a reasonable understanding of what it's like for haematology patients. And then to do the role, you have to be very organised, really self-motivated, because we work together, but we also work really autonomously. Nobody's telling us what to do. We have to manage our own workload. Find out what other research nurses do. Try and visit them, because it's very likely there are research nurses already at your hospital or at a local hospital.
Well, know how to identify you now.
Yeah, easy to spot us in Nottingham.
And Jess, you said before we came live that English isn't your first language, is it? So what's your first language, and how has that no doubt assisted you in your role as a nurse, not having English as your first language?
Well, I originally came from the Philippines, so I came here to the UK in 2002. I worked in medical surgical ward for a year, then worked Haematology Ward. Like I said, in 2012, I came in doing clinical research nursing. It's a big step for me. It's a big adjustment. It was really challenging because the language is a bit. Anyway, in the Philippines, anyway, English is very common. We speak in English in schools, so it wasn't a problem. But the accent, that's where I struggled most when I was first starting. And then there's like this Islang words that British people would say, and I struggled with that a little bit. But over the years, I think I'm learning though. I've learned those already.
English is my first language, and people struggle with my Birmingham accent, so don't worry about it. Undoubtedly, there will be people watching and listening to our podcast who have maybe been offered a clinical trial, or they've started talks about clinical trial, patients and their families. So from each of you, I'd like to ask, what would you say to them? Abi, let's start with you.
Well, we have a colleague who likes to say, research is an invitation, not a summons. So we like to give people information about it. We like to let them know it's an option, but it is a very personal decision. So think about it, talk about it with the people you love, ask plenty of questions, and then make your decision.
Thank you. Sian?
I would say consider it, read the information, don't be afraid to ask lots of questions. Know that even if you decide you're going to go for it and you change your mind for whatever reason, you can withdraw at any time. We're never going to keep you on a trial that's not benefiting you. And we care for our patients. You'll get the benefit of having a one-to-one research nurse, which I think can be really helpful in sort of navigating through the journey. But like Abi says, it's really personal. What's right for some is not right for others. But if the option is there of a trial, really think about whether it's the right thing for you.
Thank you, Sian. Jess?
I think I would just say that don't be scared. Ask questions, and we're here for you all throughout the journey. We're here for you, and our top priority is your safety.
Yeah.
Well, on that, and today being International Nurses Day, I want to say a massive thank you. Jess, Sian and Abi, thank you for taking time out of your really important schedules to come and talk to us today. You have been listening to Let's Talk Blood Cancer, the Patients Podcast.